Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's Perfect Fit Closets weekly webinar. Today is Tuesday, April 13th, and we'll be learning on our Level 1 Basics training. Today, we're going to be talking about building walls, and we're going to build using our tall modules from left to right, as well as building wall modules from left to right. As always, you can always email us at any time at support@perfectfitclosetorcanada.com. If you have any questions, please do send us your kit file or any questions and we'll be happy to help you out. As always, this is our weekly webinar, and every Tuesdays, we have our 1-hour sessions at 1:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I have got my actual 2020 design open. I have also got my local browser. Today, I'm using our Perfect Fit Canada US catalog. I'm going to click on our continuous wall button here. I'm going to left click it once on our room layout, and I'm going to create a wall. So let's go and create a long L-shaped wall here. And let's say that's going to be 100 inches. And we'll also create one that's going to be 120 inches. I'm going to click on the escape button on my keyboard. And now I have my two walls. The first thing that I like to do is want to double check my wall elevations and my heights and so forth. So once I've created my wall, I'm going to right click on my wall, click on my properties, and I have wall number 1 highlighted in green and wall number 2 highlighted in green. I'm going to select the entirety of its wall group, and I'm going to change the height. My default height for my preferences is going to be 96 inches high, and let's pretend that this is going to be 100 inches high. So we always want to change our heights whenever we can. I'll click on apply and I'll click on OK. For our 2020 users, our kitchen catalogs typically will use the top view. For our closet catalogs, we typically will use the elevation view. So I'm going to go ahead and click on our elevation views. There are two ways to create an elevation. First way is I can select the placement area. So if I can select the 100-inch wall, I can left click it once. I can see the blue dots and the blue squares that's currently highlighted. Once that's selected, I can go right underneath room layout and click on add elevation. So that's option 1. Option 2 is I can select the wall. So let's select our second wall, which is 120 inches wide. It's currently selected. You can see my blue squares. And instead of clicking add elevation, I can double click this area right here. I'll double click it like so. And now I've got my second elevation. To make things a little bit easier, I'm going to go ahead and add some notes and label these walls. Let's select elevation 1. And I'm going to click on elevation 1 and double click on the tab, and you can certainly click on a new name. So I'll just make it nice and simple. Click on elevation 1 and click on OK. Now, when you do a plan view and you print it out, elevation 1, there will be a title on the bottom right-hand screen. To make things a little bit easier and a little bit more user-friendly for the end user as well as your installer, you can click on your Annotations tab and click on the Add Note. Once I click on Add Note, I can select the area where I want to place the note. And now I can actually label this, and I'm going to label this Elevation 1. We'll click on OK. And we'll do the same thing down here. Elevation 1. And now I've labeled it on the elevation section, the tab, as well as the top view. I'll do the same thing for the other section. We'll double click on this tab, and we're going to relabel that as elevation 2. Same thing, annotations, add note, and we'll put it right on the elevation view, elevation 2. And then again on my top view here. And this will be a little bit easier for everyone to read. Perfect, so now I've got everything labeled, and the very first thing that we always want to do is always want to save our work. So I'm going to click on File, Save As, and let's save our file. Let's label this as Bob's, oh, I've already used Bob. Let's try John's Closet. All right, so I've got it now labeled, ready to go. Now that I've actually saved my actual kit file, it'll now autosave every 5 minutes or whatever your certain preferences are. Now, I need to figure out and calculate how I'm going to make this L shape. So right now, we're just going to see what we can do. We're going to work from left to right, and we're going to keep adding our modules. So let's work from left to right, and we're going to use up the entirety of this 100-inch wall. The easiest thing to do, if you want to, is we can actually predetermine the widths. As we know, 18 inches, 24 inches, and 30 inches wide modules will certainly carry some of our vendors' supplies, such as our wire baskets, our shoe fences, laundry hampers, and so forth. So we have to keep that in mind, or if we want equal amounts and equal module widths, we can certainly do some calculations. I'll do that on our wall module sections, and for our actual tall module sections, which we're going to be working on right now, I'm going to put a few certain magic numbers in so that you can see. I'm going to go ahead and click on my categories, click on my modules, and I'm going to click on my tall module. There are two different types of tall modules, a tall module single and a tall module. I will get to tall module single in just a moment. We only use those for a very specific area. I'm going to click on a tall module, left click, drag it in. I'm still holding down my left click button on my mouse. I see my magnet, go to my farthest left and let go of my mouse. I'm going to right click on the illustration just so that I can see it a little bit better. Now this is going to be an end panel. So I got to make sure that all these holes are going to be a clean face. I'm going to subtract those holes and I want to predetermine the height and the width. My current height is 100 inches and my default height for my panels is 83 15/16. This is our standard. I'll keep it at the standard for now. One opening depth 14 inches. That is our standard depth in the closet industry, is 14 inches deep. I can click on the drop down button, select the predetermined depth, or click on custom. The maximum custom depth for a tall module is 30 inches. I'll click our standard depth of 14 inches, opening one width. By default, 12 inches is selected. We have predetermined widths of 15, 18, 24, 30, and 36. And again, maximum is going to be 36 inches wide for a module. I'll click on 24 inches wide. Panel on the left, fully drilled. What that means is the panel on the left, I have line boring holes in the middle, as well as line boring holes on the outside. If I click on the drop-down button, I can click on half drilled. And what that means is I now have line boring holes on the inside, and now I have a clean face on the outside, as you can see from the illustration. This is an end panel, so I do want to have a clean face, and I'll have this half drilled. The panel on the right, fully drilled. This is correct because we're going to keep adding modules to the right-hand side. Shelf bottom, I do want a bottom shelf, I do want a top shelf, and I do want a toe kick. I'll click on OK. Drag it in, and I'm going to go to my farthest left, left click once, and I'm going to drop it right in. Now, I've made this 24 inches wide because that way I can throw in some laundry hampers and I can anticipate that my client might need something like such as that, or maybe a pant rack and so forth. Let's add another magic number here. Maybe let's add another 30-inch module here. So we're going to add another 30-inch module beside this current module that's in place. Again, I'm going to left click my tall module, drag it into place. I see my magnet, go to my farthest left and let go of my mouse. I'm going to right click on the illustration again. We'll keep it at the exact same height so that we can be concise with the current module. I do want 14 inches deep. Opening one width. Instead of 12 inches, I indicated that I'm going to have it 30 inches wide. Panel on the left, fully drilled. Panel on the right, fully drilled. Now take a look. We have an existing module in place. I can actually share this module and share the actual panels. So what I'm going to do is panel on the left. I'm going to click on the drop down button, and now I'm going to click on panel removed. So that panel is going to be removed because we're sharing. We're going to click on OK. We're going to drag that in to my farthest left, let that area snap into place, left click once, and now we have two modules sharing one panel. We'll do this again. I'm going to add another 24-inch module over here, just giving you some examples. Drag my tall module into place. I see my magnet, go to my farthest left, let go of my mouse. Right click on the illustration, We want the same opening depth, 14 inches, opening one width. We're going to make this 24 inches wide. And again, left click on our drop-down button for our panel on the left. We're going to hit panel removed. We'll click on OK and drop it into place again. You can see that we now have 3 modules sharing panels. Next is this small opening here. Now there's 2 ways to put a module in this opening, and I'll show you right now. Right now, I know that I have 19 inches of space. Now I know that I have to have a 0.75 panel in there. Therefore, my opening module is going to be 18¼ inches. So let's try that, and it's going to create an error, and I'll tell you why. I'm going to left click on my tall module, drag it into place. I see my magnet, go to my farthest left, let go of my mouse. Now, please take a look at where my mouse is actually located. I'm going as far left as I can. I'm going to drop it into place. I'm going to right click on the illustration. I'm going to click panel on the left, panel removed, and my opening one width. We indicated that there's 19 inches of space remaining minus the 3/4 inch panel on the right. So therefore, my inside module is going to be 18¼ So if I do opening one width, we go to custom. Opening one width is going to be 18¼ inches. We're going to click on OK. Now watch very carefully. So I've made it perfectly, and that's the exact measurement that I need. I'm going to click on OK, and now watch what happens. The program says you cannot place this item at this location. It's because when I dropped this module in place, my mouse was about right here. So therefore, from that point where my mouse is to the end wall, there's not enough space for 18¼ inches because I'm too far to the right. If I want to be exact, I'd have to kind of move my mouse as far left as possible. Here is the easiest thing to do. When you're working with a small area and space, it's easier just to grab your tall module. You see my magnet, let go of your mouse. Right click on the illustration, panel on the left, panels are going to be removed. Opening one width, I'm going to keep it at 12 inches. I'm going to make it very tiny, just enough so I can drop it in. I'm going to click on OK, and now I have just enough space just to drop it in. I'll go to my farthest left and drop it in. Now, once the module is dropped into place, it will always be there. Now I can actually right click on the module in question, click on my attributes, right click on the illustration, click on my variables, and now I can go to my opening one width instead of 12 inches, click on the drop down button and click on custom. And now I'm going to make this to 18¼ inches, the exact space that I need. Click on OK. And now it has moved in there perfectly. So again, we're dropping in a module, smaller width of the actual space, just enough so that we can drop it in. So that's your first option of how to actually go into tight spaces. The alternative to that, so that's option 1, I'm going to left click and just delete this module. The alternative is to use tall module singles. Whenever you have a module that says single, it is meant to fill in any gaps. There is no predetermined width. You actually resize it on the elevation view. Let's left click on our tall module single, drag it into my elevation view. I see my magnet, go to my farthest left, let go of my mouse, right click on the illustration. Now take a look. There is no opening one width at all. It is gone. There's no widths whatsoever. So I know I'm using a tall module single. I'm going to left click the drop down button for my panel on the left, click on panel removed. We'll click on OK. Go to my farthest left click once. Now go to my farthest right and left click once. And now I have the exact same 18¼ inches wide. I know that module is a tall module single, and I can always resize it at any time. I can right click on it, click resize width, and I can always resize it at any time. Be wary and be aware that I typically only like to use singles when I want to fill in a gap. I try not to use it so it doesn't confuse everyone, but this works fantastic for small openings and just to fill it in. If I right click on every single module, I can see that's a tall module in my first one. Right click again, it's my tall module. Right click again, it's my tall module. But if I right click on this last one, the only difference that I can see to differentiate a tall module single to a regular tall module is that it has a resize width button. If I click on all the other tall modules, there is no resize width button. So I know that the first three modules are a regular tall module, and the last module is a tall module single because I can resize it on the elevation. We'll click on escape. Moving on to our next elevation, elevation 2. I can continue going to my farthest left. Now, here is where you have to be wary. I'm going to go ahead and click on my tall module, drag it into my elevation 2. I see my magnet, go to my farthest left, let go of my mouse, and let's do the exact same thing. I'm going to right click on the illustration. Now, here's a little bit more advanced knowledge. Instead of one opening, I can have one module with multiple openings. Let's click on one module with 2 openings. I now have opening 1 width and opening 2 width. From top to bottom, clearance on the left, clearance on the right, we'll keep that at 0. Opening depth is going to be 14 inches. Opening 1 width, I can have this at 24 inches. And maybe I could have, for example, opening 2 width. I could keep it at 24 inches or 18. Let's make 30 inches wide. So I have module 1, 24 inches wide, or opening 1, I should say. Opening 2 is 30 inches. A panel on the left, I'm going to click on the drop down. We're going to have it half drilled because this is going to be an end panel. We'll click on OK. And we'll drop it in. But where do we drop this in? If I go to my farthest left, this isn't going to work because if I put any hanging rods in this section here, I can't access it. You can see, look at how much space you have opening here. If I click on my annotations here, I only have 5 inches of space to kind of reach into this corner. So what do we typically do? So as a closet business, we typically like to have the left panel on the module to the left adjacent wall, a minimum of 28 inches of clearance. I'm going to left click on my current module with 2 openings, right click and click on drag. So I'm going to drag it away so I can just move this module ever so slightly. I can manually move it and you can see the placement area on the left moving, or I can just select my wall to the left and I want to say that I want this 28 inches from that adjacent wall. So I'll click on 28 on my keyboard and I'll click on the enter on my keyboard. And now I have 28-inch clearance from my left panel all the way to my left wall. Typically, from hanger to hanger, from left to right, it's typically 22 inches. Therefore, my reaching closets are usually 24 inches. But we need to give your client a little bit of variance so they can access this corner here. So if I zoom in, we need to access this corner. So again, our suggestion is 28 inches from this left wall to this left panel. And the same thing again for my elevation 2. I can keep continuing on. I have 35 3/4. So this is underneath 36 inches. As I indicated, 10 minutes ago, the maximum module width is going to be 36 inches. So what I could do, if I don't want to do any math, I can just quickly take my tall module single, drag it into my elevation view. I see my magnet, go to my farthest left and let go of my mouse. Right click on the illustration. I'm going to subtract my panel on the left and my panel on the right. I'm going to click on the drop down button and click on half drilled. So now I have a clean face on the outside because this is going to be an end panel and I've got line boring holes on the inside. We'll click on OK, go to my farthest left click once, farthest right. Now, because there's no adjacent wall, it'll just keep on going. So I can zoom in and just slightly place it right on the edge. And now I've got a perfect wall module single. And that's how you do your wall modules, my tall modules in 2 different walls. Please review our level 2 training down in our webinar if you want to start populating all the shelves and so forth. We'll just do a few right now. Elevation 1, we'll just minimize our top view. And we can easily go to my categories, parts, and shelves. So we can easily put in some fixed shelves. I'm just dragging and dropping. The beautiful part about our module systems is that we do not have to tell the program the exact width or dimensions of any of the parts that we want to attach it to, such as my fixed shelves. I'm not giving any direction. I'm not telling the program at all anything. It is now resizing it according to the modules. So that's a fantastic feature using our catalog. Now I can go into my categories, accessories, my rods, closet rods, so I can start populating closet rods. And again, same thing, I'm using my modules, so therefore I'm not giving them any width identifications. So I've got a double hang, a long hang, and then I can create another double hang here like so. And drop it in. Now, what we need to do is we need to find our annotative button here. We need to figure out the exact height placements for all these. So we have to give them some annotations. The first way to grab annotations is to click on your Annotations tab, then click on your line to line. Once you click on your annotations, then line to line, your mouse is now turned into a plus button. I can select, for example, and if I zoom in, I can select from the very top of the closet rod and to the very bottom. So now I'm telling the client this is the exact clearance that I'm going to have. For long hangs, I typically like to have on average 60 inches from the top of the rod to the very bottom for clearance. I can easily just click on the fixed shelf, move that up ever so slightly, left click on the closet rod, and again, we're just moving it ever so slightly here. Now that's my 60 and a 16th. Now, my current clearance, if I bring this down, my current clearance from the top of the rod to the very bottom of this fixed shelf, if I click on my annotations, line to line, I currently have 15/16 of an inch, so just under an inch. Some people might say that's not enough clearance. So what I could do is I can left click on my fixed shelf, move that up one hole, and now I have 2 3/16. So this might be a little bit better for your clients, again, depending on your clients. So again, we're going to move it using our annotation button. Because we use a lot of line-to-line annotations, I have created a shortcut on my keyboard. This is how you create your own shortcuts on your keyboard. And I've saved this so that every single time I open up my 2020 program, I have these shortcut keyboards, or also known as hotkeys. At the very top, I see my Customize Quick Access Toolbar button. It's dictated by a small rectangle and an upside down triangle. I'm going to left click on this Customize Quick Access Toolbar, scroll all the way down to More Commands. Underneath More Commands, I'm going to click on Keyboard Shortcuts and click on Customize. Underneath my categories, I want to find annotations, which is right here. I'll left click on annotations, and under commands, we're going to try to find our line to line button. I see my line to line dimensions. I'm going to left click on it once, and you can see here, my current key is F2. I'm going to remove that, and I'm going to re-add that in there. So once I've clicked on my annotations and find my line to line dimension, it says, I'm going to left click in this box here where it says press new shortcut key. Now that the cursor is blinking, I'm now going to click on my F2. I know F2 is not frequently used, so I'm going to use that as my new shortcut or hotkey. I'm going to click on assign, and now my current hotkey is F2. I'm going to click on close and OK. Now let's see if this works. So I'll click on the F2 button, and now I have my plus button. So now it's ready to go. So I'm going to click on the very top of the closet rod to the very bottom, and the same thing again here, F2, top of the rod to the very bottom. And now I can actually move this ever so slightly so they're all a little bit even. So I'm going to go down one hole. I have 34 and 38. So I'm going to keep going down so that they're almost identical. Oh, actually, let's move it up instead. My apologies. I have 36 and 37, which is what I'd like. Again, I'm going down 2 line boring holes instead of 1. So again, it's really up to you and the end user of how much clearance you want from the top of the rod to the next nearest clearance. Okay. So again, I can do an F2, top, the very bottom. So again, I'm just dictating the exact measurements. 2020 is very accurate. It is accounting for the 3/4 inch panels and the inside module widths and so forth. I'm going to left click on this 30-inch wide module just so that you can see and zoom in. So whenever we talk about our modules and our widths, we're always talking about our inside dimension widths. So currently, this is a 30-inch wide module from the inside openings. Other programs will use the actual indication of the middle of the panel to the middle of the panel, but we know that's not current and that's not accurate whatsoever representation. We want the actual inside openings because we want to count for 3/4 inch panels. So 2020 is a fantastic program to use. So that is our tall modules. So let's go ahead and let's open up a brand new elevation and we'll do our wall modules. We'll click on new and we're going to do this again and we're going to go a little bit faster this time. Okay, so this time I'm going to make this 100 inches. Oops. My length is going to be 100 inches, enter, and this is going to be 120 inches and enter. And I'm going to click on escape. Same thing, I'm going to right click on the walls, go to my properties, click on my entire wall group. Everything's highlighted in green, and I'm going to change the height from 96 inches to 100 inches. We'll click on apply and okay. I'm going to left click on my placement view. I can click on add elevation. Same thing here. I can left click here. I can add elevation or just double click on the area. And again, we're going to go ahead and change our name. I'm going to copy this, make it a little bit faster. We'll click on OK. Annotations, add note. And we're going to add our notes here. Add another elevation. Oops, my apologies. Add note, left click, and drag it in. Double click on my tab here, EL2, double click, and we're going to make that elevation 2 and add more notes. And one more for the top view. We're going to click on File, Save As, and let's save this file as Mary's Guest Closet. Always want to save it wherever we can. On my elevation 1, this time we're going to create wall modules. So everything's going to be off the floor. We had a lot of questions. So somebody's currently asking in our chat feature exactly how do you create wall modules and how to create longer panels? Great question. We're going to mix and match. We're going to pretend that we don't know. This is a blank canvas. We don't know what we're going to be drawing. But we're going to go ahead working from left to right and we'll see what we can do. Under our modules, instead of our tall modules, we have wall module single and a wall module. Wall modules use a hanging rail. If you can see on the top left-hand section there, if you see at the very top, it looks like a cleat, but this is the hanging rail. This is the mechanism to ensure that we can anchor our module right onto the actual wall itself. There are multiple holes on the wall hanger for your installer to find the wooden stud. We all know the pull force on a wooden stud has approximately 1,500 pounds of pull force. And we know that the pull force on a drywall anchored is anywhere between 100 to 200 pounds. I always suggest whenever you're using wall modules, find at least a minimum of 2 wood studs so that you know that it's going to be securely in place. I'm going to left click on my wall module. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create let's pretend we're going to create a double hang right here, okay? I'm going to drag my wall module into my elevation 1. I see my magnet, go to my farthest left, let go of my mouse. I'm going to right click on the illustration. Let's see what the properties on the default is. The properties on the default is that we have a height of 47 3/8. That's one opening. Default is 14 inches deep. Default width is 12 inches. Panel on the left and right are both fully drilled. And then shelf bottom with a rod. Up to down. So we know, because we've been in the industry for a very long time, 47 3/8 is a perfect height for a double hang in the event that you want to keep all the install heights at the default of 83 and 15/16. 83 and 15/16 is your default height for your tall modules, your default height for your wall modules, tall modules, all the modules. So let's keep it at that height and we'll see what we can do. If I go all the way down, I want one opening depth 14 inches, opening one width. We're going to make this one 24 inches wide. Panel on the left, we're going to click on the drop down, click on half drilled. So now I have a clean face on the outside. Shelf bottom, this is a feature that we at PerkFit told 2020 to do. If I click on the drop down button, I have three different options. I can have no bottom shelf, I can have it with a bottom shelf, or a bottom with a rod. We understand that a lot of people like to use double hangs, so therefore we had 2020 input bottom with a rod. So therefore you do not have to drag and drop a fixed shelf and a hanging rod. This will save you a minute of your time. So again, we're trying to make as many shortcuts as we can for our dealers. I'm going to show you both ways, without a rod, with a rod, and a bottom shelf. So bottom with a rod. So I'm going to left click that, keep that default. This is exactly what we want. We'll click on OK, drag it to my farthest left. I can indicate on my wall left. I'll click on 0 on my keyboard and click on Enter. And now I already have my hanging rod or hanging rail components. As you can see here, it's marked by an X. And I also have my hanging rod. When you use the default hanging rod, I know that it's already one line boring hole up or one line boring hole down with a clearance of 15/16 of an inch. In the event that you want to go 2 line boring holes down, it's easiest just to delete the bottom shelf with a rod and manually add it in. Next, let's create a wall module. And I want to make this so that's going to be a bank of drawers. So I want to make this as long as possible. I'm going to left click on my wall module. I see my magnet, go to my farthest left, let go of my mouse. Right click on the illustration, default 47 3/8. I'm going to increase the panel height. I'm going to increase the panel height, and instead of having it all the way to 83 and 15/16, I'll make it 72 5/8. That's just a number that I like to use. So therefore there's enough clearance at the very bottom. One opening depth 14 inches, opening one width. Let's make this one 30 inches wide. Panel on the left. Well, when we first did our tall modules, we subtracted our panel on the left. But if we did that, it wouldn't make sense, because if I now click on shelf bottom, I'm going to click on just a bottom shelf. It really doesn't make sense. So let's click on it. Let's see what happens. Join it. We're sharing the panel, but look, we can see the guide, but there's no panel at all. We want to actually have both panels on this module and subtract the panel on the first module that we put into place. I'm going to just move this over just so that we can see. I'll grab my pencil here. So we really want to keep this panel, but we want to subtract this panel here. The easiest thing to do, once we realize that what we've done, is we can go back to our existing module, right click, go into my attributes, and I'm going to subtract the panel on the right on the first module I put into place. Go into my variables, scroll all the way down, panel on the right, I'm going to remove the panel. I can see in the illustration, right click it so I can see it a bit better. We'll click on OK. Now, I'm going to go to my second module, right click, go into my attributes, left click on my variables, right click on the illustration, and now scroll all the way to the bottom. My panel on the left was removed. We'll click on the drop down button, and now we're going to indicate I want it full drilled. So I have line boring holes on the left and the right side. We'll click on OK. Now that I have my panels into place, I can now right click on the actual module, click on drag, and go to my farthest left and snap it into place. And now it's actually completed. I'm sharing my panel with both the smaller module on the left and the current module that I have into place. Let's do this again. We're going to put a double hang right here. left click my wall module. I see my magnet, go to my farthest left, let go of my mouse, and let's create another double hang. There you go, just so that you can see it just a bit better here. Right click on the illustration. We want 47 3/8. Panel on the left, we're going to remove the panel because we're going to share it with the existing panel to place when we do want a bottom shelf with a rod, and we'll make this 24 inches wide. Click on OK. Go to my farthest left and drop it in. So now I've got my double hang and I'm sharing the panel. Now I have a remaining balance of 19 inches. So easiest thing to do, as I indicated, was take my tall wall module single because we're just filling in the gap. Drag in my wall module single. We haven't used this yet. I see my magnet, go to my farthest left, let go of my mouse. This time I'm going to create a module for my dresses and my 3/4 length coats. Right click on the illustration. Now my panel is 47 3/8. I know that I don't need that long of a panel, so I'm going to make this panel a little bit shorter. Let's make this roughly around, let's say 31 inches tall. On my panel on the left, I'm going to remove the panel. And I'm just going to have no bottom shelf. Okay, so all I'm going to have is just the wall module components, the fixed shelf at the very top, and a 31-inch tall panel. We'll click on OK. Go to my farthest left, click once. Go to my farthest right, left click once. And now I have a smaller panel height, perfect for my tall hangs for my, my apologies. It's perfect for my coats and my 3/4 inch long, my 3/4 inch length coats, as well as my dresses. My apologies there. Okay, so let's populate this, and we're going to pretend this is going to be a live program. So I'm going to go into my categories and into my modules. I have my panels, shelves, drawers, and my rest of my parts. The easiest thing to do is go into my accessories and find my closet rods. So I'm going to go into my categories, accessories, rods, left click on my closet rod. We're going to drag it into place, one hole down, because that's what we indicated, all going to be one hole down. And I'm going to put another closet rod like so. And one on this module. And let's double check our opening. So I'm going to click on my hotkey, F2. I'm going to zoom in just so I can see exactly where I'd like this placed, about right here. And I'm going to zoom out. Drop it in. Now I have 39 7/8 clearance. And again, from this top of the rod, the very bottom, and now I have 40. Now take a look here on a wall module. Because I don't have a bottom shelf and I don't have a toe kick, I have now increased the actual clearance of the top of the rod to the very next fixed shelf. I have 39 7/8 and 40 11/16. If I go back to my other design, if I had the exact same install height and only one live boring hole down, I'm just going to adjust this ever so slightly, I have 37 3/8 and 38 5/8. So the other option might be a bit better, but again, it really depends on you and your client on how you want to design it. So here are your limitations. If you have a tall module with a bottom shelf and a toe kick, it's going to have a smaller clearance. If I have just my wall module, all the weight bearing is going to be on the actual wall rails, but now I have a greater clearance because I have no bottom shelf and no toe kick. Let's do the same thing over here. I'll click on my hotkey, F2, top of the rod to the very bottom. And I have 59 9/16. I want roughly about 60-inch clearance. I'll go up one. And now I have 60 3/16. We'll click on my categories, parts, shelves, and I'm going to throw in another fixed shelf wherever I can, right at the very top of this rod. For wall modules, I like to have a minimum of 2 fixed points. So 2 fixed shelves per wall module as my minimum. So I know my first module is going to be correct. My third module is correct. My fourth module is correct. For this module, I already have 2 fixed points, but because I've got a very long panel, it doesn't hurt to add another fixed shelf right in the middle for more stability. I'll drag that in, fixed shelf. Left click fixed shelf. And now I can't actually put any fixed shelves in here. Sometimes the program won't allow you to add a fixed shelf. I'm going to click on escape. And this time I'm going to click on fixed shelf floating. and this works. The reason why we have a regular fixed shelf and a fixed shelf floating is that sometimes the area doesn't snap into place properly. Therefore, sometimes, a majority of the time, a fixed shelf will work, but sometimes the floating will work. They're exactly the same product. It's just the way the program works. So again, fixed shelf or fixed shelf floating is exactly the same premise. If you attend our level 2 training with advanced tips and tricks, I'll actually indicate exactly why we use our actual, when we use these and the appropriate places. I'm going to click on my F2. We'll make sure that's centered. And I'm going to go ahead, just drop this down, and I'm going to center this as best as I can, and that's as best as I can, 34 and 35. And now I can go ahead, my shelf adjustables, and they don't work either. So now I'm going to use shelf adjustable floating, and I can go ahead and start populating it with shelves. And again, I can use my F2 button and figure out my clearances. And I can just move the shelves up and down. And the same thing over here, the very bottom. As you can see, the hotkey does have its advantages. I am a little bit speedier with having my hotkey. Very top, the very bottom, and you're all set. So that is how you create a wall module using wall modules and wall module singles, as well as tall modules and tall module singles. Thank you very much, everybody, for attending this session. We do appreciate you joining us on today's webinar for Tuesday, April 13th. Again, we have our webinars every Tuesdays, April 13th. That's today. I'm going to go open up our actual dealer portal just so that we can actually see the exact dates and locations. I'm going to log in for the day. And I'm going to click on my training. And underneath training is my PFC 2020 closet webinars. In this section in our dealer portal, you can see that we have utilized both dates. We have our Tuesday, level 1 basics for 1 hour at 1 p.m. Eastern. And then on Thursday, advanced tips and tricks, also 1 hour at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard. This is a reoccurring web link and a reoccurring password. If you cannot attend any of our sessions, not a problem at all. We record all our sessions. You can click on this link called Perfect Fit Closets 2020 Past Webinars. In our 2020 Past Webinars, you can see that we've recorded all our sessions. We've uploaded them into YouTube. And every single one of our sessions differ ever so slightly. For those people that want basic trading, I highly recommend PFC Webinar February 16th. We've gotten a lot of feedback from our PFC Webinar February 16th, indicating that's probably one of our best level 1 basics training, especially for reaching closets. And again, if you scroll up and down, we have various training recordings. In the event that you need personalized trading and you need private sessions one-to-one, please do call us at 587-230-8120 or email us at support@perfectfitcanada.com. If you click on our support page, we have all the different support numbers, support emails. We have technical support. We have support@perfectfitcanada.com. If you need technical support, residential support at 2020spaces.com. And again, these are all technical aspects. I highly advise, if you have a problem with our catalog, to contact us. If you have a problem or challenges with the program, contact 2020 support. Here is our team directory. Melody Braun is our sales and marketing. We have Elizabeth Edwards in sales and design, myself in sales and design, and Trevor underneath operations. Thank you once again, and hope to see you here next week.